Hello everyone, and thanks very much for all the support with my videos. I'm very grateful. Today we've big news here in Ireland. Leo Varadkar, leader of Fine Gael, Irish Taoiseach, has resigned. Just in the last few minutes we've heard the news that Varadkar have stepped down as Taoiseach and leader of Fine Gael. This would trigger an immediate election within Fine Gael for the leadership of the Fine Gael party. And Varadkar said he will stay on until the new Taoiseach is appointed. Now this is following suit to what's happened in Britain. If you see Rishi Sunak, and their intention was to put on a non-elected leader. They have a non-elected foreign minister as well with David Cameron, and now they're trying to do the exact same thing here in Ireland, where they're going to have an appointed leader of the country that hasn't been voted in by the people and has been going against the interests of the people of Ireland. Now today Varadkar spoke in a statement on the plinth at government buildings, and he said he was 20 years a parliamentarian, 13 years in cabinet and 7 years as leader of Fine Gael. And he spoke about the economic successes he's had. I laugh because it's absolutely farcical. Scans over his abject failings in so many ministries he held himself as former Minister for Health, failure with the cervical cancer scandal. He was also Minister for Social Protection, where he went after and attacked people, calling welfare cheats, cheat us all this narrative to push to his super rich friends in Fine Gael to get his leadership election underway, and then he led to 7 years at the helm of this party for the super rich and bow down to the interests of Ursula von der Leyen in Brussels. Now he also, as I said, spoke about all this sort of stuff, and he said he felt now he wasn't the right person for the job and it's time to pass on the baton. Now this comes in the fallout of what's happened in Ireland the last number of weeks with the humiliating and devastating blow to the Irish political establishment with the defeat of the referendums. And this was something that Varadkar was pushing very strongly, and the NGOs and essentially the entire political establishment here in Ireland. So much for the opposition, who rode in fully behind Varadkar's claim as well. But as I said, he tried to scant over the nonsense and talk about the economic successes and say there are full employment, and forgot to mention the chaos he's created with the homeless and housing disaster in Ireland. Now we have record amount of people in emergency accommodation, 4,000 children up to 14,000 adults. There's over 300,000 people who are regarded as hidden homeless. We have 7 out of 10 18 to 34-year-olds that are still living at home with their parents. And then on top of that, you probably have the other 3 out of those 10 have probably emigrated. Not to mention the health disaster, where you have over 1 million people on hospital waiting lists. We have a trolley chaos up and down the country today. We have hospitals being closed down all around the country, forcing more chaos onto other services as well. We have a lack of special needs assessment, lack of disability services. The elderly are forgotten about. We have a huge inequality and divide in Irish society, all under the baton of Leo Varadkar's government over the last number of years, where 900,000 people now are in deprivation. Now this is huge implications in Ireland. And he's also facing an upcoming COVID inquiry that they still haven't announced what the terms of reference are, following their disaster and attacking ordinary people's human rights during the last number of years through their lockdowns as well, all supported full square by the Irish political establishment and the fake opposition. So this is what we're left with here in Ireland, and ultimately this is going to be a decision for Fine Gael to make a decision on the leader and the new Taoiseach, which is appointed unelected. There needs to be a general election so people can have a say in what's going on. There is seismic change happening in Ireland. It's happening from the ground because of all the chaos being created. And as well, we've seen the immigration chaos being created in Ireland as well, that the political establishment are ignoring and burying their head in the sand over it, while trying to claim some sort of virtue signal, righteous, moral, higher ground on these issues, rather than deal with the lived reality of people struggling and services being smashed up and down the country. But again, he said one of his successes was over 100,000 Ukrainians coming into Ireland. Well, it would be, Leo, wouldn't it? Because you do your bidding for Ursula von der Leyen in the European Union, not the interests of the ordinary people. So at the same time, we can see all this sort of stuff happening. He's been trying to be eulogised and been spoken about and said it was a personal issues and stuff as well. I've highlighted before issues around his failings regarding his donations as well, with all the links with big business that I did a video on recently, and many more issues as well coming from the so-called opposition, who are now calling for a general election, looking for, in effect, change. This makes you laugh, because really changing the puppets at the top of the government won't do much, and changing a lot of the puppets in opposition won't do next to nothing for ordinary people. We know a lot of these people are still behind the hate speech bill, still behind the WHO pandemic treaty, still behind serving the interests of the globalists, still behind the interests of serving the interests of the world, or the European Union, and bowing down to them every turn, rather than challenging them and standing up for what's good for Ireland. But this is exactly what's going on in Ireland in response to Varadkar's announcement today as well. Now, as I said, he's only come back from his week-long junket in the United States. He told Micheál Martin, I think last night, just before at the end of a meeting, what they hold before a normal cabinet meeting. And Martin was shocked, but again, he's come out today and said he'll fully support the extension of this government until its term, which is due to run out in March of 2025. My reading of all what's going on as well is that Fine Gael will move quickly to appoint a new leader. They don't want some sort of hung out debate where they're going to be attacking each other, but who knows, it could implode with Fine Gael. It'd be great to see if it does, because they're a party of the super rich. Already 10 or 11 of their TDs have departed the sinking ship in advance of the next general election. So that's nearly a third of the party. Varadkar has seen the writing on the wall, jumped ship, and I'm sure there's maybe a few scandals and skeletons in the cupboard for Varadkar, and maybe perhaps a job in Europe doing the bidding for the European Union for so long, and as we know, young global leader of the World Economic Forum. And it's more interested in taking his instructions in Davos than of the interests of the people of Ireland. So maybe Leo can get up early in the morning, like he always pontificates to people, and use his bank of mum and dad to bail him out. He won't have the issues that more and more people have in Ireland in terms of struggling with poverty, inequality, deprivation, waiting on housing lists, renting at extortionate costs, dealing with the fallout of the immigration chaos, and all these other issues, all created because of his government's policies that favour the super rich and the 1%. So thanks for all the support of my videos. Thanks for the shares, likes, comments. Please share my videos far and wide. We need a real shift in Ireland, a real radical change that will put the needs of ordinary people first and challenge the status quo, bring power back to our communities, bring power back to our daily lives where we have a real input in these decisions. So don't mind all this political grandstanding that's going on about looking for change, elections and all this sort of nonsense. We need a real massive change in our society, not to change that these hypocritical opposition, inverted commas, opposition, fake opposition parties are calling for, because they will lead the people up the garden path, and there'll be more frustration, more misery, more poverty, more exclusion, and more bowing down to the interests of the super rich and the European Union. They're not willing to challenge the status quo. We need to challenge the status quo in Ireland. There's a huge opportunity now because of what's happened in the last number of weeks. We can see a huge change amongst ordinary people, and that needs to be fermented and organised in a proper, coherent fashion that will affect change for the positive in Ireland and put the needs of people here first, and not deal with all the likes of Varadkar and its corrupt, rotten ilk that only serve the interests of the super rich, super wealthy, big corporations. Here in Ireland, 1% of the population has over 35% of the wealth. 2 billionaires have the same wealth as half the people in Ireland. This is criminal, and they're criminals in it all, and good luck to them. So thanks for all the support, and take care. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye bye.